I think finally they have a better understanding. They have a continuity with Jacques Vaughn that we did not see with Steve Nash for whatever reason. But I like this Nets team. I don't think that they are a complete team. They don't have the depth at the big. There are things that they are lacking, but they do have elite scoring. But this month that Kevin Durant is going to be out is probably going, I don't want to say make or break their season, but it's going to put them in a position. If they can hold on and play consistent basketball, and a lot of that's going to fall on Kyrie. If they can do that, then I think they have a chance at the stretch.
Let's bring in senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski, because Woj, the Nets, you reported Kevin Durant, he's going to be out for a month. But what is their approach going to be over that next month without him?
Well, Malika, let's start with the NBA trade deadline. That's about a month away right now. And I think Brooklyn, like a lot of other contenders out there in both conferences, see a marketplace right now that is much more of a seller's than a buyer's market. Just not enough teams, have really made the decision that they're going to be sellers, that they're out of it for the play-in or the playoffs. And usually that happens closer, to that February 9th deadline. I think Brooklyn's going to be active. I think they're going to look to upgrade. And I think as Richard said, particularly in the front court. But what the Nets get to do now is evaluate their roster without Kevin Durant, who has been such a dominant force for them. You mentioned Kyrie Irving, certainly him leading the way now with this team. But T.J. Warren was brought in, to be able to be a really productive offensive player. He gets that opportunity now. Seth Curry, Joe Harris. And so now for Brooklyn, they have some time to see how these players play before they have to make some decisions, probably closer to the trade deadline on deals.
Woj, thank you. It seems like the Nets are going to be relying now on their depth. That's what we're looking at. But they have to also be able to rely on Kyrie Irving. What are you expecting out of him?
Listen, Sean Marks elevated his game, right? When you talk about the addition of T.J. Warren, getting Royce O'Neal in the offseason, also adding Ben Simmons to the equation, okay? Jacques Vaughn. He's elevated his game. We see how this team is playing on both ends of the floor. It's time for Kyrie Irving to do the same thing. Kyrie Irving, can you do what Kevin Durant did when you were out last year? You along with James Harden in the MVP conversation. Like, this has been the question mark on Kyrie his entire career since he was drafted with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Can he lead a team and get wins as the top dog without another superstar alongside of him? So, look, we ain't asking for a full size. We just asking for a sample size. We just asking for an appetizer. We talking about a month to 45 days. Can you get wins and get your numbers and be a leader on the floor? You have enough talent around you.
And speaking of those numbers, he absolutely should be able to be impactful, because right now he's averaging, 26, 5 and 5. And one thing that I noticed, I think Kevin talked about, post-Thanksgiving numbers. Post-Thanksgiving, I think he's led the league or is top in the category of fourth quarter scoring. So when it comes to winning time, that's the guy that a lot of us would pick to say we want him to have the final shot. So I think when you're thinking about the ball games, you want to be in contention towards the end and then give Kyrie a chance to win. And we've already seen what he's been able to do so far this season. He's in that position.
Richard has had an up-close view of what he's able to do late in games when it matters the most. But the numbers that we just saw on your screen, the numbers for Kyrie Irving with Kevin Durant on the floor, with Kevin Durant off the floor, they're actually pretty similar. It's whether or not they can get that to translate to wins, Perk.
And that's the important thing. It's all about winning. Like, when you think about superstars and you think about putting those guys in that elite conversation, they're carrying their team and it's resulting into W.
And right now, the Nets they sit second in the Eastern Conference. Kevin Nagandi, we're sending it back to you.
You looking sharp. I can't even see you. I know
Coming from the man in the
Gucci loaf
to face the Hawks in Atlanta. Milwaukee, they continue to be shorthanded, but as long as you've got that guy on the floor, hey, you got a chance.
Welcome to NBA Countdown, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
Welcome to NBA Countdown here from our Los Angeles studios that Richard Jefferson is trying to break. Alongside Janae Agumake, Kendrick Perkins back in the building. I'm Malika Andrews. Let's get to our opening tip, because the Bucks, they have not been playing very Bucks basketball as of late. They have gone 4-6 in their last 10 games, despite a 50-point and 3 more 40-point performances by Giannis Antetokounmpo. Milwaukee also not getting it done defensively, which is a little bit strange for them, averaging 118.5 points allowed in the paint. That is up from their season average of 111. Chris Middleton, he's missed 33 games this season, 12 straight since mid-December. Milwaukee only 1 game over 500 in the 7 games he's actually played. He's played more than 30 minutes once, has scored fewer than 20 points in 6 of those games. So now welcoming in our senior NBA insider, Adrian Wojnarowski. Woj, what can you tell us about the timeline here for Chris Middleton?
Yeah, Malika, there's an increasing optimism about Chris Middleton, the rehab from that knee injury. Mike Budenholzer told reporters tonight before the game in Atlanta that Chris Middleton played 5-on-5 yesterday. I was told that he had another good day on the court today. And while, listen, there's no specific date or timeline for return, I'm told that there's optimism. It will be in the relative near future. Milwaukee has missed him desperately this season. As you say, he's only played 7 games, averaged 11 points in those games. This is a team that last year was 3rd in offensive efficiency in the NBA. They've been top 10 every year under Mike Budenholzer. This season, essentially playing without Chris Middleton, they are 25th in the league in offensive efficiency. They really need Chris Middleton back, and the hope is that that's going to come sooner than later for this Milwaukee team.
Yeah, it sounds like help could be on the way. Woj, thank you so much. Again, no Chris Middleton, though, tonight. So Milwaukee continues to be shorthanded. And we mentioned it. They hang their hats on the defensive end of the floor. And this is a team that has high aspirations. We're not talking about a group that's just happy to be in the playoffs. They want to win another title. So how concerned should Milwaukee be here, Perk, at this point in the season?
Oh, you got to be very concerned. Look, we passed the midway point, right? We're going into crunch time. Right after All-Star break, it's ready to rock. And Chris Middleton, we have to realize this, right? And we could talk about the Batman and Robin comparison that I had going on 2 years ago. But the fact of the matter is that when they won that title, majority of those 4 quarters, he was the closer. So without Chris Middleton being healthy, without Chris Middleton being available, they don't have a pot to pee in and a window to throw it out of.
Wow, that is quite an analogy, Janae. How are you weighing into all this?
Yeah, I think what people underestimate about Chris Middleton being out there is that he allows defenses to play honest against Giannis, meaning Giannis can get what he wants because Chris will stretch the floor. He's versatile. So when you miss him out there, defenses sort of bulk up in a way that in the playoffs, when things slow down, that's when those things are really exacerbated. So I think right now, this team, the Bucks, they're talented enough to stay afloat, in the standings. But the reality is this team and Giannis, we all know he wakes up to grind every possession and to put himself in championship contention. Right. Because I know he's looking out west at Jokic, and, he's a 2-time MVP. Jokic is